So you can see that if I wiggle the stick in the middle, you barely hear it. But if I go back to 0% Expo, when I wiggle the sticks in the center, you can hear it. Hello hobbyists, welcome back to Motion RC. I'm James with another quick tip. Today's tip, Exponential or Expo. You've probably heard it out there, and this video is going to be geared towards the beginners. You might have heard people say, what's your Expo? What are your Expo settings? And you might have no idea what that means, so hopefully this video can clear that up. Basically, what Expo is, in simplest terms, is your ability to deaden the stick in the middle around whatever surface you want to control. So in this case, your aileron and elevator, for the most part, if you fly mode 2, are going to be on this stick. And if you want to decrease the sensitivity around the center of the stick, then Expo is what you will use to do that. So in this video, we're going to show a demonstration and then also tell you a bit why you might want to do that. Because as you will see, or what I've seen, we get a lot of questions are, what are your Expo settings? Why doesn't the manual have Expo settings? And the reason being is that Expo is 100% on you, the user. You can either use it or not use it. It's not going to really affect the way you fly depending on how you learn. You don't have to use Expo. It is just there to help, and that's why the settings are always going to be on you to figure out how much or how little Expo you're going to use. So let's get started with this quick demonstration. Alright guys, in this example, I'm using a Futaba 10J radio. Now the Expo is going to be included with the rates all in one setting. And what I like about this radio is that you do get to actually see the graph, because Exponential is much easier understood when you're looking at a graph. So right now you see we have a linear curve. If you look over at our EXP is what we're talking about, that's for Expo. Right now we have 0% Expo, so you expect to see this linear curve. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. So as I move the aileron, as you'll see on the screen, as I move it over, I am getting a 1-to-1 ratio on my throws. So this would be max aileron throw, and that would be 0 throw. And as I move my control over, you can see that it moves as my stick does. Now, what if I want to add Expo? So I put it on a switch, and you'll see my EXP, I have 50% on a switch, and watch what happens to the graph. And I have 100% on the switch. So you will see the graph change from a linear curve to an exponential curve. So what does that mean? Let me go to the max, so 100% Expo. This is not something you'd want to fly with. This is just a dramatic example to show you what that means. So now you're going to see, as I move my aileron stick, that the curve, let me turn the light on, that the curve, you're barely getting any movement. Whereas you saw on the 1-to-1 linear that I was getting movement. So as I move over, it'll start rapidly changing. And when I get here, you'll get to the same endpoint. So right now, the endpoint on your control surface is the same. You still have 100% deflection, but it's how quickly, in essence, you get there. So you can see that if I wiggle the stick in the middle, you barely hear it. But if I go back to 0% Expo, when I wiggle the sticks in the center, you can hear it. So really, that's what you're doing. When you are increasing your Expo, you are deadening the middle of your sticks, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. So then just one more example here at 50%. So if I bring the stick all the way over, let's say, now let me change the Expo. So that's 100%, 50%, and 0%, you see nothing happens. The control surface is the same because you're not changing the amount of throw or deflection. But if I go to the middle of the sticks, when I change to 50% and then to 100%, you can see that the actual movement does change because you're in a different position based on the amount of Expo you use. So now let's just talk about why you would need Expo. So now why would you want to use Exponential when you fly, especially for your beginners? Deadening the middle of your sticks or lowering the sensitivity by using Expo, it's just going to help you fly a little easier. When you're flying an RC plane, I don't know too many people who are going to be banging on the sticks left and right and are going to achieve success. Most of the time when you're flying, you're making minimal movements in either direction. So by deadening the sticks, it's going to help you, not make such overdramatic movements that might get you in a sloppy position. Like with the Dora, this thing could be a drill bit, is what they would say, if you had high rates and no expo, to the point where you might just lose orientation very fast, and that's the end of your flying. But also, another thing is just, we're not perfect pilots. I know for myself, I am not perfect. When I'm looking at my aircraft and I'm flying, and let's say I want to do a loop. So a perfect loop, I'm going to pull back on my elevator, and my ailerons shouldn't move. It should keep, the plane should maintain straight, come down, and go through the loop. But I'm not perfect. I might come down, and I might be more like this. So you can see I'm not 100% straight. You can see I get some aileron in there without me even realizing, and as I'm at the top of my loop, I realize, oh, my plane's not perfectly level, and then it comes out of the loop, and I'm correcting to make it straight. If I was flying in some sort of competition where they were judging on my loops, I would fail or lose points by doing that. But if I put my expo, so now this is 100% expo, if I pull, I could wiggle the stick down at the bottom and you're barely seeing the ailerons move. Whereas if I had no expo, you have to be perfect. So if you're perfect, if you have perfect muscle memory and you can do this and not make the ailerons move, which I'm not doing right now, then you wouldn't need expo. And it all comes down to, again, that's why it's on you as a pilot. What I recommend, and I think what most people recommend, somewhere between 15 and 30% is a good basis to start on all your surfaces with expo, and then you work from there. Some aircraft might be more helpful to have 50% expo. But as you start getting so high in expo, like right here I have 100%, you're only going to hurt yourself. It's going to make it harder to fly the aircraft because you're not getting as much control in the middle of your stick. You'd have to really bang each way to make turns, and it'll happen too fast. So, again, when it comes to expo, remember, there is no guideline. That's why it'll never be in the manual of an RC aircraft, and you shouldn't ask what other pilots expo fly, because everybody flies different. I would say start at a base point, like 20%, and work your way from there. You'll know if you need more or not by how you're flying. And that's really what it comes down to. But also, with different transmitters, you have to check your manual. Sometimes when they tell you to add expo, it's a positive, and sometimes it's negative. I know in Futaba, to add expo properly, you have to go into the negative, whereas some other ones, you have to go into the positive. So that's on you for the radio, but in essence, you want your curve to look exactly as it does here. That's how you know you're in the right expo. It'll be an exponential graph in this shape. So guys, that'll do it. If you have any other reasons why you use expo in your aircraft, then please leave them in the comments. I hope this helps you out, beginners. There are a lot of videos on expo, and it's something that I believe it's out there. It's good technology. Why not use it to your advantage? I always do. I usually start at 20%, and I work my way from there, depending on the aircraft I'm flying. So guys, that'll do it for this week's tip. Thanks for joining us. Hit the like button if you like, subscribe if you subscribe, and we'll see you next time at Motion RC.